People in the valley used to laugh at him, not because he was cruel, not because he was strange, but because to them he looked useless. While others rushed through life like they were being chased, he moved slowly. While others argued, he listened. While others fought the world, he seemed to let the world pass through him. His name was Shen, and the villagers called him the man who did nothing.
Han was pacing inside the storehouse like a trapped animal. Outside, the market was bright. People laughed. Children ran between stalls with sticky hands. But inside the storehouse, the air felt thin. "A new merchant opened a stall," Han said, "right across from ours." Wei nodded. "I saw." Han's eyes flickered toward the door as if the other shop was staring back. "I sell rice for 10 coins," Han said. "He sells for 9. Wei chose his words carefully. "Then we keep our price. Our rice is clean. People trust you." Han stopped and looked at Wei like Wei had said something childish. "Trust is soft. Hunger is hard." He grabbed a piece of charcoal and scratched over the price sign leaning against the wall. 8. Wei's stomach sank. "At 8, we make almost no profit." Han didn't even look up. "It doesn't matter," he said. Wei stared. "It doesn't matter?" Han's mouth tightened into a thin, confident line. "I drop until he bleeds," Han said. "If he bleeds longer than me, he dies." We tried to follow the logic. "And then?" Han's eyes sharpened. "Then I raise the price again," he said, "and I recover everything." He spoke like explaining a simple shape. "If I become the only rice seller," Han added, "I control the village's stomach." Wei felt the cold truth under the words. Han wasn't panicking. He was planning, and that made it worse. The next days became a rhythm of cuts. Han dropped to 8. The new merchant, Kai, dropped to 7. Han dropped to 6. Kai dropped to 5. The village celebrated like it was a festival. People walked away with full sacks, grinning, as if the world had become kinder overnight. But Han's face changed. He worked longer. He spoke less. He slept with his eyes half open. Wei began to see something strange. The crowd in front of the shop grew, but the coins in Han's bowl did not. One evening, Wei opened the storehouse ledger and stared at the lines. They were clean, they were correct, and they were terrifying. "We're selling more than ever," Wei said quietly. Han didn't answer. "We're working more than ever." Still nothing. Wei swallowed. "And yet we're poorer." Han finally looked up. His eyes were bloodshot, but his voice stayed hard. "That's the cost of victory," he said. Wei wanted to argue, but he couldn't find a clean argument, because Han's plan made sense in a cruel way. Lose now, win later, like a man cutting off his own finger to escape a trap. At noon on the 5th day, Wei ran to the grain shed with a small pouch in his hand. "Uncle," he said breathless, "we have silver for one more delivery." Han's jaw flexed. "Good," Han said. Wei blinked. "Good?" Han leaned over the ledger. "That means he's bleeding too. One more week and he breaks." Wei hesitated, then asked the question that had been growing in his throat. "And if he doesn't break?" Han's eyes turned sharp. "He will break. He must." Then Han added something that made Wei's chest go cold. "Even if I go broke, I will make sure he goes broke first." Wei realized then this wasn't only strategy, this was pride wearing strategy's coat. Shen arrived in the market late afternoon, as if he had been walking slowly for years and simply happened to pass through the war. He stopped in front of Han's shop. He looked at the new price sign. Then he looked at Han. Han forced a smile. "Uncle Shen," Han said, "you see it. Cheap rice, more customers. I'm protecting the village. Shen's face didn't change. How much profit are you making? Shen asked. Han's smile froze. Profit is later, Han said. Shen's gaze drifted across the street to Kai's stall. Kai stood in the shade with a calm face. Shen turned back to Han. You're not stupid, Han, Shen said. You're gambling. Han's eyes narrowed. Gambling? You're betting he will bleed first, Shen said. Han didn't deny it. Even if I bleed too, Han said, if I outlast him, I win. Shen nodded once. You don't know whose money he's spending. The sentence landed like a stone. Wei thought of backers, debt, hidden reserves. Han's jaw tightened. He can't sell at a loss forever. Shen's voice stayed quiet. And even if you win, Shen said, what happens next? Han answered immediately, like he had rehearsed it in his skull for days. I raise the price, Han said. I become the only seller. I recover everything. Shen looked at the villagers passing by, laughing with sacks in their arms. Then every hungry mouth learns your name, Han scoffed. That is power. Shen looked at him directly. That is a target. Silence fell. Shen continued, calm, almost gentle. A monopoly in a village does not create safety. It creates revenge. Han's pride twitched. So what? Han snapped. I surrender? Let him eat my shop? Shen shook his head. No, he said. You stop fighting him in his lane. Han frowned. Rice is rice. Shen said nothing for a breath. Then he spoke like giving a simple chore. Raise your price to 12. Han stared as if Shen had slapped him. 12? Han snapped. Are you crazy? Shen didn't flinch. Raise it, he repeated. Han's voice rose. Kai sells for 5. Who will pay 12? Shen walked past him to the storage shelf. He picked up a small basket. Inside were 2 chicken eggs, pale, clean, still warm from the nest. He held them up where Han could see. He looked back at Han. Sell rice, Shen said. Han's eyes narrowed. I am selling rice. Shen nodded once. And sell relief. Wei blinked. Han's mouth tightened. Speak clearly. Shen placed the eggs back in the basket. For every sack, Shen said, give 2 eggs. Han scoffed. Gifts? That's your strategy? Bribing with breakfast? Shen's gaze didn't move. Not bribing, changing the comparison. Han's hot face hardened. Comparison? Shen pointed across the street. Kai sells rice, Shen said. You sell rice. He tapped the egg basket with one finger. But now, Shen said, you sell a meal. Wei's mind clicked. Rice plus eggs wasn't a different product. It was still rice, but it wasn't the same decision anymore. A mother didn't compare rice to rice. She compared hunger to fed. A worker didn't compare coins to coins. He compared empty stomach to strength. Han's jaw stared at the eggs as if they were an insult. Then he said, quieter, And if Kai copies me, he gives eggs too? Shen nodded once. Then he must buy eggs, Shen said, and he must handle eggs, and he must break eggs, and he must explain eggs. Han's eyes tightened. He could already feel the nuisance. Shen's voice stayed calm. Price is a blade. A gift is a mess. Most men prefer clean blades. Wei watched Han's pride wrestle with his exhaustion. Finally, Han muttered, 12 coins and 2 eggs. Shen nodded once, as if the matter was settled. The next morning, Han raised the sign. 12 coins. People laughed. 12, a man barked. We can buy 2 sacks across the street for that. Han didn't argue. He didn't defend. He simply opened a sack and poured clean rice into a measuring bowl. Then he placed 2 eggs beside it. A woman in line stopped laughing. She stared at the eggs. A child tugged her sleeve. Eggs? The child whispered. The woman's eyes shifted. not to Han, but to her own home, to the pot, to the thin soup, to the way her husband's shoulders had been slumping lately. She paid, not happily, not proudly, but with the quiet seriousness of someone choosing strength. And when she walked away, other eyes followed. Not because Han was cheaper, because Han was useful in a different way. Across the street, Kai watched. His price was still low, his rice was still rice, but now he had a problem. He could match the price, he couldn't easily match the feeling. That night, Han counted coins, real coins, not desperate coins. Wei stared at the bowl like it was impossible. "We're selling fewer sacks," Wei whispered, "but we're earning more." Han's face looked tired in a different way now. Tired like a man who stopped drowning and started swimming. Wei glanced across the street. Kai's stall was still open, but the crowd there was thinner. Kai was staring at Han's line the way gamblers stare at a man who stopped playing. A week passed, then another. Kai didn't go bankrupt, but he stopped cutting the price every day, because he finally understood Han wasn't bleeding with him anymore. Wei said softly, almost to himself, "So you didn't win by crushing him." Shen appeared at the doorway as quietly as he always did. Han looked at him. "So I didn't win the price war?" Han said. Shen nodded. "You left it," he said. Han's jaw tightened, still half proud, half ashamed. Shen gave the last line, calm as a blade laid on a table. "In war, you win by killing the enemy." He looked out toward the market road. "In business," he paused, just long enough for Han to feel the gap, "you win by leaving the battlefield."
This story is a great example of how game theory connects the ancient world to modern life. Game theory is the study of decision-making when your outcome depends on what other people choose, not just what you do. If you're alone, like chopping wood, effort equals result. But if there's another player, a competitor, customer, rival team, your outcome depends on both moves. That's why game theory explains something important. Smart people can still end up in bad outcomes, not because they're stupid, but because the rules of the situation push them there. One famous example is the prisoner's dilemma, where the best outcome for both happens when both cooperate, but each person is tempted to defect because it gives a short-term advantage. And because both fear being betrayed, they both defect. Result? Both end up worse off than if they had cooperated. When Han and Kai sell the same rice, they get trapped in a classic game, the prisoner's dilemma. If both hold, it's win-win. If Han holds but Kai cuts, Kai takes the crowd, so it becomes lose-win. And once Han sees that, he panics and cuts too. Then the game collapses into the last box, lose-lose. Not because they're stupid, because the rules reward fear. This is why price wars start. Han isn't greedy, he's afraid. He thinks, if I hold my price while Kai cuts, I'll look like a fool and I'll lose. So he cuts first to protect himself, and Kai cuts back. The war isn't caused by hatred. It's caused by fear of being the only one who stays fair. In game theory, this ugly box has a name. It's the stable outcome, the place you fall into when both sides act from fear. Once you're there, it feels impossible to escape, because the first person who raises price gets punished. So everyone stays trapped, even when everyone hates it. Shen's diagnosis is simple. This isn't win-lose. It's not even who is smarter. It's a negative-sum game. A game where the battlefield itself consumes the players. The more you fight, the less there is left to win. Shen doesn't teach Han to fight harder. He teaches him something colder. Don't play better. Play a different game. Not by changing the product into something unrecognizable, but by changing what the customer is actually buying. When you sell only rice, you're trapped on one axis, price. Cheaper wins. But the moment you add something that price can't copy easily, trust, reliability, convenience, a bonus, you're no longer fighting on price. You've moved the battle to value. After the shift, something weird happens. Kai can keep cutting, but it doesn't kill Han anymore. Han isn't trying to defeat Kai's price. So the war ends, not with surrender, but with separation. They stop bleeding each other. This is the modern business translation. If you compete on price, you invite a race to the bottom. If you compete on value, you build a moat. And in business, the cleanest victory is not crushing the enemy. It's leaving the battlefield they wanted you to die on.